welcome to another episode of me rambling to the camera at 2:30 a.m. Yeah, you can kind of see here, it's quite late. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's so fucking late. I should just go to bed. But very deep thoughts haunt me at night. So I want to share them with you. Anyway, if this is your first episode, let's recap what we're doing on this channel. Tea recommendations and music. I'll try to do the music at the end. I forgot for the previous video, which is bad. But I'll try to remember this one time. I have an album in mind, so I'll share it at the end. But first things first, tea of the week. Tea of today, whatever. We have the very thematic Christmas mug. I don't even celebrate Christmas, but this is good, come on. And what tea do we have? The tea that we have today is English Tea Shop Organic Costly Green. It's still a bit hot, I just made it, you can see the steam, but let's try. A bit minty, cinnamony, very warm, like a hug. Hug in a mug. Don't talk to me before I've had my cup of tea. So yeah, today we're in a very green tea mood because we have this green tea over here, and then obviously a sweet snack, because what are we doing? This it's laughing around. This is a matcha ice cream mochi. It's still a bit frozen and I cannot bite into it. Hopefully by the end of the video it'll be very good to eat. But yeah, I'll just spend the time just staring at it. Without any more rambling, let's just jump straight into the thematic of today, and that is New Year's resolutions. I haven't achieved any of my yearly goals for 2024. I barely ticked anything off from everything that I wish to achieve, and I don't feel bad about it at all. As I'm scrolling through social media, and especially LinkedIn is so toxic regarding the New Year's resolutions, but what I've been seeing is a lot of people really beat themselves up over it. One of the posts that really stood out was this woman just complaining that, yeah, I haven't achieved anything for this year and I failed myself, and just a bunch of really awful things to say about yourself and share, especially on a platform where everybody's like rambling about their achievements and just saying how great they are. You just go ahead and say, yeah, I'm a failure because I haven't achieved much. That's really sad. And I'm pretty sure that she's not the only one, and a lot of other people beat themselves up a lot for failing their goals and not having achieved, and just, oh, I haven't made any progress, I'm still the same, it's no year, new me. And I'm here to say that you shouldn't feel bad that you haven't achieved everything you wished for. And even if you haven't achieved anything that you had in mind, you still shouldn't beat yourself up over it. And I have a really, really good reason. Again, from a perspective of somebody who hasn't achieved anything this year, at least according to my list and what goals I had in mind for myself. So first thing, and the main takeaway from this entire journey, is most of the things that you set as New Year's resolutions are physical goals, are external things that you should accomplish, and things that you absolutely don't really have much control over. Things of the sort of, oh, I'm gonna travel a lot, I'll get this really good job, I will get this really good grade, I'll get medals, I'll get certifications, qualifications, I will get so in shape, I will become a bodybuilder. I feel like a lot of those New Year's resolutions are just unrealistic. First of all, you just expect that you're gonna all of a sudden have this extreme confidence to achieve everything. And everybody just gets this sudden wave of being ambitious around the New Year's and just saying, oh yeah, the next year will be the year that I'm gonna flip my life around and just do something crazy and achieve everything that I've never achieved until now. Which, aiming towards high things is really good. But you have to accept the fact that with really high expectations comes also really high disappointment, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself to the point of not being able to enjoy what you have lived through if you haven't ticked all the boxes and done all these things. So we are so focused on the external things to the point that we forget that the most important and valuable lessons that we could get come from failure, and they are not always graspable. You cannot always see them externally. You cannot always see them project in the world around you. They are not immediate, and they are very much variable. And what do I mean by that is, you had in mind that I'm gonna get a job for this big company, right? Which is something that I had and I failed in getting it. But there's a more valuable lesson to be learned in not always getting things the way you want them to be. And if everything went according to the plan, we will never be left with any time to reflect on our lives, essentially, and reconsider certain decisions. Maybe you wish for something back in January, and then you reach halfway through the year and you realize, okay, I've learned some stuff since, and that's not really what I want anymore. I don't want to go into that direction. I feel like New Year's resolutions are very one-dimensional in this way, because you just expect that what you want right now is what you're gonna want for the entirety of the year, and that's just not realistic at all, because every day is different. Every day we're a different person. Every experience, every thought that crosses our mind molds us into something else. And I'm pretty sure the best example is whenever everybody just has a certain burst of energy and ambition past midnight and says, oh yeah, I'm gonna become this and I'm gonna become that, and then you wake up the next morning and you don't want to do any of that anymore. That's essentially what's happening, but at a larger scale, because you don't do a plan from today to tomorrow. You're making a plan for the next year, and that's really ambitious of you to think that you're gonna stick to the same exact values for an entire year. And in fact, it's actually not very healthy to do so. It's okay for you to constantly change your beliefs and constantly challenge the reality that you're living. Never take everything for granted and just go ahead mindlessly. So the fact that it didn't stick to your New Year's resolutions, maybe it just went off the path, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe you had to reconsider some decisions. Maybe the time just isn't right to pull the things that you wanted. And that's fine. You cannot really estimate at what pace your life is going to go. And there is only so much that you can do through hard work and ambition if luck doesn't really play into it as well. I hate when people say that oh, I'm self-made. Let's not say that it was luck or anything. There's a lot of people dismissing how much luck plays into getting certain things besides hard work. Everybody just likes to think that they're in full control of their life situation when that's really not the case. For example, I had this friend that got a lot of really good jobs, and they're not particularly skilled objectively in order to pull all those big jobs. They were in the right place at the right time, and they're quite sociable. They just connected with the right people and got through. So to kind of end up and say that, yeah, it's all my hard work, it's no luck, I made my own luck. Yes and no. Hard work only goes so much. And you can be the most hardworking person, but if you're not in the right place and the right time, people will never find you. Nobody is gonna give a shit. It's essentially a little bit like those Nepo babies that just get asked on, yeah, are you aware you're a Nepo baby? And they just say, no, I've worked really hard to earn what I've got. It's just very tone deaf to say that. Because, yeah, you might have worked hard, but you have to consider the fact that in order to get a really good, well-paid job, you have to be in a good location to begin with. You need to revolve around certain circles to get the connections that you need. Because no rich person or CEO is just gonna sit randomly on a subway station in the middle of nowhere waiting for you to show off your skills. You need to be in a big city. You need to have influential people around. So to just put everything on, yeah, my hard work, it's tone deaf. I'm sorry. Somebody has to say it. You are lucky to be born somewhere. You cannot say that to me, that it was just your hard work, because every immigrant knows the fact that they worked their ass off, their parents worked their ass off to send them abroad, and then just because they have no connections in the country, it just doesn't work. So, yeah, going back into that, no matter how much you work hard, you cannot control what life throws at you in the next year. You cannot foresee the circumstances you're gonna be in. So stop putting yourself so much into a box, expecting that, yeah, if I follow this schedule every day for the rest of 365 days, I'm gonna achieve this, and that, and everything is gonna be perfect. You're gonna be burnt out, babes, by the first 2 weeks. And then you're gonna fall back. And you're gonna feel so shit. Because, oh my God, I've stopped. I was making so much good progress and now I stopped. Why? Because you cannot realistically carry so much weight out of nowhere just because it's a new year. And what if it's a new year? Does your body really know that you have to go for 300 days in that style? No, they will just know, no, I'm fucking tired right now and I need a break. Give me some mercy. That kind of stuff. Let me take a sip. So yeah, the first point was on focusing on the external things. Okay, let's take a break and enjoy this because it's got a bit squishy. Ooh! Oh, it's really... Oh shit, it's breaking. What I really love about matcha desserts is the fact that they're not too sweet. They're very fragrant and just a little bit sweet, but not too much. I hate most sweets because every time you just chew into them, it hurts your teeth. You can feel it in the back of your brain. It's like, ugh. Yeah, it's not a nice experience, but matcha desserts though. Yeah, I'll have 100 of them, please. So the second thing, going hand in hand with the first point of us being too focused on the material stuff. I don't care how spiritual you are, whether you believe in an entity out there, but there is this saying that my parents really used on me a lot to get me through those really hard times, because I was being awful to myself and faced a lot of rejections this year. In general, I just lost a lot of opportunities and people and things that I cared about. They just went right through my fingers and I could see that I'm losing my life. So it was really desperate time. What my parents were telling me was, whatever is meant for you is put aside. And that's a really beautiful saying that I've kept in the back of my head, and I think more people should. And that makes me go into the second point, the fact that we're trying to chase things that are out of control. We don't get to decide what other people are gonna choose for us. We cannot decide whether other people want to stick in our lives. We cannot decide essentially anything that life throws at us. We can keep chasing and keep chasing, but if we're not prepared for that thing, we're not gonna get it. And going back to the quote of whatever is yours is always going to be there, is going to choose you eventually. And that applies to people, that applies to opportunities as well. There is a place for you. I know it's really difficult to think that, especially when you're facing a lot of rejection. But honestly, it's just the truth. Whatever you're meant to be, whoever you're meant to be with, whatever you're meant to do is eventually going to catch up with you. You just have to be patient and just keep staying focused on what you like. Keep doing what you love. And the right circumstances will eventually find you. Trust. That's just how it is. And I am personally still in the same situation that I was 6 months ago. And I've felt really, really hopeless for the past months. And I suddenly got a wave again of feeling really hopeful and really optimistic about my life. I feel like something is around the corner. And I know that something good is gonna happen to me eventually because my intuition never lies. My intuition is always correct. So yeah, again, going to the spiritual stuff. Trust that the path that you are on, whether it works according to your standards or not, is the right one. Because we are so focused in the material world, we fail to comprehend and acknowledge our soul and whatever happens within us. And although I might have not achieved a lot of physical goals, I feel a lot more grown than I was last December. The fact that I haven't achieved my goals taught me a lot more than achieving them would have taught me. And I hate this entire push on the grind set culture, on the overachieving, constantly taking part in this rat race on whoever reads the most books, whoever works the most job, whoever makes the most money. It's always like that. But does any of that actually make you feel better in the end? Let's say, yeah, you had 200 goals and you achieved all of them. Would you be very happy about that by the end of the year? Because I'm telling you, if you actually manage to tick everything that you had in mind, especially if they were really crazy goals, you'll probably go mad by the end of the year, realistically speaking. Because whoever manages to do such high-performing tasks for a prolonged time eventually burns out and just disappears off the surface of the earth for years out of absolute overwhelm. And it's not uncommon to lose your sense of identity. It's not uncommon to disassociate. It's not uncommon to cry yourself to bed, to be so tired, to have everything hurt in you because you're pushing yourself way over your limit. And yes, you achieved everything you wanted, but at what cost? At the cost of yourself. So is it really worth it? Third and last point that I would like to mention on this topic, which is also a warning and an advice if you want, is don't compare your journey to others. Don't let other people's expectations put a veil over your head so much that you don't see where you're walking anymore. Always remember quality over quantity. Instead of setting 100 goals for the new year's and being really specific, which is actually bad. I don't care about all this manifestation stuff of, oh, this is the person I envision being for the next year. And you just make it really specific, down to a T. Everything that I want to do. I don't agree with that. Because the more specific you go, the less achievable it is. And the more stressful it gets when you're actually trying to go for it. Because the more specific you go, the more you have to constrict yourself to fit that image and that persona that you build for yourself. Instead of choosing 100 goals, choose just 4. And don't make them as specific as you think. And don't go for crazy goals like, this year I'm gonna read 200 books and I'm gonna run 5 marathons and I'm gonna give 100 speeches to everybody and I'm gonna... I'm tired just thinking of it. Come on, be realistic. Let's try to distinguish fantasy from reality. And I'm not saying don't dream big. Dream big, but don't disable yourself along the way through those really, really high expectations. And at least if you set really high expectations, set them fully knowing that 95% you might not be able to achieve them realistically. Because not only do you need willpower and extreme discipline to execute them, besides your goals, life will happen anyway. Life will keep throwing things at you that you don't expect, and that is gonna teach you stuff. So instead of saying, yeah, I'm gonna read 200 books, you can just put a lower goal. Let's just say, okay, I'm gonna read 10 books. That's more realistic. And then if you actually pass over it, you're gonna feel much better about yourself. Because if you read 11 books, you're gonna be like, oh, I exceeded my yearly goal. Whereas you wanted to read 200 books and you only read 190, you're gonna be like, damn it, I haven't achieved my goal. I cannot tick it off the list. Sip. So be kinder to yourself. And I feel like it's more and more difficult with the whole overachieving society to do that. And especially if you have really high goals for yourself, I want you to remember this takeaway that I took from a philosophy book. I think it was Seneca. I read it in Romanian, so I'll try to estimate overall what the quote was saying. But the essence of it was that the higher your goal is, the lower your chance of success. And you cannot really blame that if you walk on a really steep hill that you stumbled at some point and fell. If you're walking on straight ground, however, you have way higher chances of never ever stumbling and everything goes according to the plan. So the higher the goal, the higher the chance of failure, and you have to take accountability for it. You have to be fully aware that yes, it might fail and be at peace with that. But take into account the fact that the lessons you need most are not in the goals that you are going to achieve. The lessons that you need most happen from stuff you cannot anticipate or plan. They happen whether you stick to your schedule or not, whether you follow a routine or not. So go ahead and work hard. Set whatever goals you want for yourself. But don't be unreasonable. And don't compare your journey to others. You never know what situation they got. You never know what opportunities they got. Even if you're the same age or from the same school, you're not in the same places in any way whatsoever. Because you're different people, so life has in store very different journeys for you too. Yeah, if you haven't achieved much this year, don't beat yourself up and just keep doing your best. If you aim high, chances are very high you might not achieve. And that's fine, because at least you know you worked hard regardless. Try to take into account what you have learned and the lessons that you had to take in besides achieving goals. Try to analyze and look back on your life more in terms of events rather than achievements. Just say, yeah, this situation happened, I didn't like it at the time, but what can I take away from it going forward? We are really adaptable and we get used to new things very easily, especially after we achieve them. So we don't really recognize our hard work. And we just always will keep aiming higher and higher. We will never be satisfied to ourselves. Maybe we should just step back and reflect. And even if we haven't achieved, still give us credit for having tried and giving it a shot. Because giving it a shot is never bad. Not trying to begin with is. So don't feel discouraged. And if you haven't achieved anything this year, try to look at it this way. Try to look at what you learned from not having achieved your things. Try to distance yourself from the actual bucket list and just reflect on how is my life any different right now that I have not ticked any of those things. And you'll realize that if you really, really analyze the situation, maybe you have a lot more lessons to learn before actually achieving everything you need. Maybe you are not 100% ready to get what you want. Yeah, skills-wise, experience-wise, you might be ready, but mentally, are you ready for the challenges and the responsibilities achieving your goal entails? Are you ready to take that onto yourself? Maybe if you've burned yourself out for the past couple of years and now all of a sudden it got quiet. You're not doing anything anymore. Take it as a sign to just sit back and absorb everything that has happened to you and recharge. Sometimes things don't happen back to back in our lives according to the schedule, because the universe just wants us to sit back and relax and process what the hell is going wrong with us. Be more aware and in touch with our feelings. We always postpone wherever we feel and wherever we think for later. Oh, I'll be able to enjoy this, I'll be able to think, I'll be able to rest once I got this one thing. And until you're not getting it, you just keep pushing and keep pushing. And the more you push yourself like that, the harder it's gonna hit you eventually, that you are so busy chasing after those goals that you forgot to live for yourself. And that years passed by you without you having any actual memory of yourself, not having done anything spectacular besides constantly being in the rat race and running like in a hamster wheel. And that's essentially what happened with my university years. I grinded so much to the point of feeling really, really isolated and feeling like the past 3 years of my life were just a shadow. So keep that in mind. And yeah, that's all I got to say for today. So now onto the album recommendation of the week. I'll just put a picture here, but it's called The Head Hurts But the Heart Knows the Truth by Headache. The entire album is amazing, and the music is electronic and a bit lo-fi. Is really beautiful, and the lyrics are mostly nonsensical, but they hit deep at times. Yeah, please give it a listen. It's a really great album, and I'm really happy that I get to share it with you guys. And yeah, thank you for listening to me again. I hope you stick around, and see you next Sunday in another, hopefully, interesting episode.